You are watching TGZ TV.
The Global Zambian, the only magazine that celebrates quality, cross-culture lifestyle and entertainment.
Hello, and welcome back. We are back. Okay, so we are actually not sure exactly what happened with the previous live. Something about a policy violation, which I'm not sure because we actually stayed within the fair use, and so I'm not sure. But anyways, we are back, and so we're just going to go through over everything. Initially I was thinking to myself that I would let that other video, you can watch the intro of that video, but I think I'm going to be taking that one down. And so we're just starting from scratch. What can you do? This is the internet. What can you do? So for those who are tuning in right now today, we are discussing Showmax's The Real Housewives of Lagos, season 1, episode 3, which basically follows an ensemble of very successful businesswomen in Lagos as they go about their day-to-day lives, and also just try to intertwine with one another and kind of like get to know one another. And so as always, obviously the usual housekeeping. Obviously, if you're watching us over from YouTube right now, please do not forget to click that like button on the video that you're watching right this moment. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, what are you waiting for? Do please click on that subscribe button, and of course the notification bell, so that you can receive notifications every time we upload new content and every time we go live, as we are right this moment. And of course, we never forget about our people who are watching over on Facebook. If you're watching us on Facebook, please do not forget to click the like button on the video that you're watching right now. And of course, please do not forget to follow the pages that you are watching from, as well as tweak those notifications so you can receive alerts every time we go live, as we are right now. And of course, every time we upload new content from our magazine, tgzmag.com. And so now that we obviously had to make some slight changes, quite a bit of changes, should I say, we had to make some changes in regards to obviously what we're gonna show, just in case that was a policy violation. Instead, I'm gonna be just giving you a run through, but I'm gonna be giving you a run through utilizing screenshots of the certain scenes that I will be talking about. But obviously, I'm gonna go back to what I initially spoke about, which is the outfit, because I feel even if it's a double mention this time around, they still do deserve a special mention. And I'm going to start with Chioma's first look. Chioma's first look, like I said before, Chioma actually had 2 looks, okay? She had 2 new confessional looks, and overall, all the ladies actually on the show had twice the confessional looks, I think twice, no, had brand new confessional looks. Chioma had two, everyone else had kind of like one each. But this was Chioma's first look. I actually really like this look because it was not too much. I think everything kind of like fitted perfectly well. The dress, the earrings, and the hair, even all the way to the makeup, it just worked. The second look that Chioma wore is this like, side ruffle dress. I think the dress is gorgeous. I think the hair is gorgeous, but I think the combination just doesn't go. I feel she could have done without, she could have either pulled back the hair. I think a sleeker hair would have been better with this outfit because the outfit itself is ostentatious. So the last thing you need is an ostentatious outfit and then ostentatious hair as well. That's a bit of much. You kind of have to balance it out a little bit. The other look is by Carolyne. This was Caroline's new confessional look, which I absolutely loved. With Carolyne, like I said last week, I actually expected her to be very understated in the outfits that she was going to be wearing, because I thought that she would kind of keep it very plain, very simple, but she has pleasantly surprised me, where she's gone and worn this beautiful, embellished dress. I'm assuming it's probably a gown. Absolute gorgeous. Slick back hair. You see, the slick back hair is actually what Chioma should have had with the other outfit, because it's very similar style in the sense that even if it doesn't have the massive ruffle like Chioma's, it's got a similar one side bigger ruffle where it doesn't need hair that kind of like overpowers the face. You know what I mean? And then we've got Iyabo, who happens to be one of my favorites. She has a ponytail, great earrings. The outfit looks so dope. Everything, the makeup looks really dope. The only criticism I think that I might have for her in this instant is the same one that I had for her last week, which was her overuse of the highlighter. I don't think she needs any highlighter. She's got an absolutely gorgeous face, and she doesn't need highlighter to kind of help her emphasize her beautiful features, in my opinion. And then obviously we've got Laura. Laura, I actually love the dress that she's wearing. And I think the hair color actually really suits Laura. The only thing that I think she still needs to work on is getting her edges maybe to be a little bit better. I think her edges could do with being a little bit better, and I think that's pretty much it. The only one that I've not been able to capture, unfortunately, was Toyin, the fashion goddess's, funny enough, outfit, but hopefully we'll be able to see it next week. She came with a new confessional, which is like a striped black and white top from what she saw. And then the hair, though, I was not too keen on her hair, if truth be told, so I wish I could have actually been able to screenshot it. I don't know why I forgot to show you that particular look, but that was Laura's look, and that was Toyin's look. And I just want to make a special mention of Chioma's outfit that she wore, the scene where they went to the jewelry store. That outfit was absolutely gorgeous, very smart casual with afro print, and I just think it worked. Her hairstyle was everything. Everything she wore in this particular scene was just, I wouldn't say to die for, because I don't know if I like to use that word specifically, but I think she looked absolutely amazing. She looked absolutely gorgeous. You can't even fault her on that. And now we're just going to go through, obviously, the episode, right? So let me grab my notes, and then I'm going to show you scene for scene what happened during the show. So the first scene that comes in, we basically have Laura and Iyabo. They meet up, and they meet up at a spa where Iyabo is actually having her pedicure done, and Laura decides she doesn't want to have a pedicure. She actually decides to, I think, get a manicure done instead, So as they're talking, they start to discuss. Obviously, Iyabo cuts straight to the chase and basically asks her to say, why didn't you come to my trip? Like, what happened, And obviously, Iyabo came on ready. Like, she came ready for this girl to say, I don't appreciate the fact that you didn't come to my event. Like, what's the deal with that? But instead, she was pleasantly surprised because Laura actually apologized. Laura apologized for not coming to her event, and she just said, she was just not certain about some of the company that was there. And again, at the beginning here, like, for me as a viewer, I'm like, okay, because I don't know any much of the history of these ladies. So I'm thinking, okay, what exactly is going on? Like, what is her beef with Carolyne and Chioma? And so she mentions that she was offended that Chioma kind of like introduced her as a client, or basically dismissed the fact that Laura was claiming Chioma is a friend, but Chioma said she's a client, and so she was offended by that. That's why she was acting standoffish in episode 1. I was like, okay, that's not a good enough reason to be standoffish with everybody. Be standoffish with the person that you feel has offended you, but why are you going to be standoffish with everybody? That didn't make sense to me. And then they touch on Caroline. Now, I don't recall Caroline saying a lot of extremely bad things about Laura during the beach trip, so I'm a little bit confused in regards to that, if truth be told. I really, really am a little bit confused in regards to that. So whilst they're talking, obviously Caroline comes up and she's like, oh, I don't feel for Caroline. I don't care for Caroline. She just says all these really strong words, like strong, like, and I'm thinking, okay, what exactly has Caroline done? So now the viewers are actually very, very curious, right? And so as that is happening, they switch over to the second scene, which is basically Caroline and Chioma at the jewelry store. And they're just basically talking about what jewelry they're going to buy, and they're just having casual conversation. It was very light. It was, honestly, this was light. They were shopping. It was no drama, I think. They didn't even mention, did they mention anything about the trip? I don't think they even mentioned anything about the trip so far as I've seen anyways, or I can remember. But they do talk about jewelry being an investment, and Caroline mentioning that her buying gold, it's not just for her to wear, to buy just to wear, but for her to actually buy as a form of investment. And then Chioma does end up asking her what exactly she meant when she talked about being, pursuing gold digging. And she basically said, well, for me, gold digging is not just about being a gold digger. I like to be able to go after what I think I can bring to the table, and Chioma kind of understood that. I don't know if I fully understand that, because I don't know if I've ever heard of anybody utilizing the word gold digger as a means to say, I'm going to dig for gold in my faith. I'm going to dig for gold in my relationships. I've never heard of that, but maybe it's something that Caroline has made for herself. We just have to take her word for it. I mean, she seems genuine to me. I actually like her. She is actually one of my top favorites. So, we'll take her word for it, and we'll see how things pan out, right? That's the best that we can do, And so whilst that's happening, they switch back to the scene of Laura and Iyabo. Laura and Iyabo, as Iyabo is explaining to Laura, saying, Caroline said this and the other to you. And basically, she tells her something. I think it was the thing about having loads of what's the word that they use if you've slept with too many people? I can't remember, but I think that's what Caroline insinuated about Laura. And so obviously Laura was not very impressed about that, and she was like, she wouldn't have said that if she was right in my face, otherwise I would have given her one dirty slap. And obviously Iyabo is like, oh snap, so that was kind of like the long and the short of that particular conversation. And so now we go over to the next scene, where we got to see Toyin at work. Okay, Toyin's at work, and she's basically having a photo shoot for some of her line. One of them includes this newspaper kind of dress, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. And she mentioned something about the person who was actually modeling the outfits was someone from Big Brother. I'm assuming Big Brother Nigeria, And so they had that scene, and then they obviously had the photo shoot in the indoors, and then they went outdoors where she was wearing some kind of like pleather outfit, where she kind of like had a photo shoot for that. So I would love to actually see how those pictures actually turned out, because the photo shoots themselves and the outfits seem really, really creative. We get to see her as she's kind of directing the photo shoot, and then her husband, as you can see, who's crouching down, is the one actually taking those photos. So they're actually a working couple. And so from that scene, it goes over to Chioma's house. At Chioma's house, she's got family over who've flown in from the United States to visit her. And she's kind of like, saying, yeah, we put it down. They like to have a party, so I know how to hold a party. So I don't know if this was exactly supposed to be a party or just a get-together. It definitely didn't scream party to me. It seemed like just a family get together, in my opinion. You know, when you have a family get together, sometimes it might appear to look like a party because you've got loads of food and drink and stuff like that, because you've got loads of people visiting. And that's how this felt like to me. I don't think it was necessarily supposed to be a party. But as they are obviously sitting and talking, I'm assuming, I think it's the mom, the one in the blue, starts to ask her, say, what's going on with the whole marriage situation? Are you going to have, you know, when are we going to hear wedding bells? You know, and she's like, you know, they will come. And then I think one of the uncles was like, how many are they? I actually found that scene so extremely funny. Like, how many are there? It's like, no, they will come, you know. And so after that, they actually go, and the auntie decides to pray. And as they're praying, they pray for the food, they pray for the house, and then she goes and decides to pray for Chioma to have a man. And initially, I actually thought Chioma was not too happy about that, but she seemed to have embraced it. And for me, I think that kind of says a lot, because from what I've seen of Chioma's character, she doesn't take too many things to heart unless it's something that's like, okay, she's like, okay, this is completely out of line, you know. And I kind of like that about her, you know. I wasn't sure about her in episode 1, but now as we've gone into episode 3, I've actually gotten to really like Chioma, if truth be told. I've gotten to really like Chioma. And then obviously we go over to the next scene where we see Caroline in her work gear with high vis and everything, and she's actually visiting the location where they're going to be having the Boho. So she invited all the ladies to a Boho event, and she's just basically meeting, I think, if I'm not mistaken, either the venue owner or the, you know, the event organizer, and just talking about where she would like everything set up, and she's talking about how the aesthetics should look. You know, it wasn't not a very long scene, if truth be told. You know, it was very quick. We got to see the place, how it looked before it was decorated and everything, and then that scene was kind of over and done with. After that, it quickly went on to Iyabo and Chioma jogging. So they were jogging away, and then obviously they stopped and they started walking. As they're walking, they start to just have a chat, and Iyabo makes mention that, oh, she actually had a meetup at the spa with Laura, and she spoke to her. That took Chioma back a bit, where she was like, oh, I didn't know that, you know, Iyabo was going to have a one-on-one, was going to have a meetup and discuss the trip with Laura, you know, without everyone else present. She would have thought she would have at least, you know, given them some kind of a notice, you know, but she kind of let that fly, and they kind of carried on talking, and Iyabo started expressing how Laura was feeling about the situation, how, you know, she was not entirely comfortable, but a part of her kind of regretted not coming. And then she brings in the subject of them having a discussion about what Caroline said about Laura, to which obviously she tells Chioma that had Laura said that had Caroline been in her face, she would have given her one dirty slap. At that point, literally, I think I could see Chioma slowly going from 0 to 100, where she was like, what you're not going to do is that. Why are you threatening, you know, someone to slap them? If she's going to slap her, I'm going to slap her back myself. I was like, oh, okay, you know. And you can see in the confessional that Iyabo made, she's like, okay, sisterhood, you know. And I was like, Iyabo, you are being so messy. You did not have to carry that bone over, because now it's going to cause a whole mess, which is literally what ends up happening as the Boho event, you know, takes place later on. And so now we're at the Boho event. Initially, we see Carolyna, she's spreading petals around, and it's quite funny because they play like comical music, and she's there spreading away the petals around where they're going to be seated, and all the employees, all the workers for the event are actually just staring at her. I don't know if it was shot for shot, and that's exactly what was happening at that very moment, or it was 2 separate shots, but either way, it actually looked really hilarious. It looked really funny. They were just staring at her like, what is this my woman doing? You know. And then obviously while she's doing that and she's just waiting for everyone to arrive, the first person to arrive is none other than Iyabo in orange. She looked gorgeous. Caroline was like, oh, I didn't even recognize her, and she called her auntie, and I don't understand why she called her auntie. I just don't get it, because quite frankly, I actually think Iyabo looks younger than Caroline, and this is no offense to Caroline, but Iyabo does look like she could be younger than Caroline. So I'm not sure where the auntie part comes in. Like, are they even that much of a difference in age? You know, somebody please tell me. If you're in the chat, let me know. And so after Iyabo's arrival, the person that followed next was none other than Laura. So Laura actually made it to an event. Absolutely shocking. She made it to an event, and she kind of kept to the dress code. Her hair looked kind of boho like. The top she was wearing was boho like, and then she kept like, I think leggings and some heels. She looked cute, in my opinion. She looked cute. And then after Laura walked in comes Chioma. Chioma comes in wearing none other than what appears to be a wedding dress, as though she is attending her own wedding. It was hilarious, but at the same time, it was an absolutely gorgeous outfit. Was it a little bit overkill for the event? I think so. Did I mind it? No. It was overkill, but I didn't mind it, if truth be told. I think she looked amazing. She did follow the theme. Even if it was OTT, she did follow the theme to a degree, I suppose, which is the least I could say about our resident designer, which brings me to when she arrived. Where is the part where she arrived? Here we go. Okay, so here's the thing. When Toyin arrived, the cameras, for some bizarre reason, were not close enough to her, so we didn't get a chance to actually fully see her outfit. But she basically came in looking very gothic, and I didn't understand that, because I was like, hang on, this is Boho. So why is your outfit looking goth? Make it make sense. It didn't fully quite add up. Either way, everyone was happy to see her. Everyone sat down and they were talking. And obviously, the discussion about the event came about, right? So they sat down, they're discussing, and they start talking about what Caroline had said about Laura. And then obviously Laura starts to go off, starts to come at Caroline, at which the rebuttal that Caroline gave Laura honestly was not prepared, because she just ended up calling her out and saying, look, your sister. But the moment Caroline mentioned her sister, she was like, don't talk about my sister. And she's like, no, you can't accuse me of something and not allow me to defend myself. So she ended up saying, look, your sister wrote some really horrible, salacious things about my family. She wrote about my marriage. She wrote about my child, talking about how my child's father is actually not the father of the child. Like, basically saying that the father was somebody else other than her husband. And she basically blamed Linda, who is Laura's sister, for being the person that caused the demise of their marriage. Now, something that I'm not very clear of, maybe you can help me out if you're in the chat, is, did Linda, Laura's sister, was she married or dating Caroline's ex-husband? Is that the situation? Is that where the contention comes from? Because I don't know what the backstory is here, because it's still not fully clear. It has made me understand a little bit of why they are at loggerheads the way they are, but I still don't fully understand what the tea is, in terms of why they have so, or as Caroline has said, she doesn't understand why Linda hates her so much. She did make mention to say, I did not steal Linda's husband. So did Linda's husband leave Linda for Caroline? Is that what happened? And if that's what happened, was it like immediately after? Did it seem like they had an affair? Like, I'm very, very curious as to exactly where the contention comes from in regards to Linda versus Caroline. But at that point, Caroline gets really, really angry, where she basically starts to talk about everything, all the way to Linda apparently writing about the daughter, because the daughter's ill. The daughter has 2 holes in her heart, and I actually felt really, really sad for Caroline, writing about that, and writing about obviously the demise of her marriage. And basically she kind of repeated some of the stuff in different ways, where like, were you there? I almost died when I wanted to have my child. Da, da, da. She basically put her on blast. And at that point we see Laura in the confessional, where she's like, you know what, I can't even argue with Caroline right now, because she's mentioned her daughter. I'm obsessed with children, I love children, so she's mentioned her daughter, so I'm not even going to try and argue with her because she's mentioned her children. But in between us, they're arguing here and there. Laura keeps saying, I'm not afraid of you, I'm not afraid of you. So I don't know if she's saying that as a means to say, look, if you try to come at me, I'm not afraid of you, I'll fight you back. I really don't know what the reason for her saying this. I don't know if it was because obviously in the state of emotion that Caroline was in, she kept on shouting to say, you know what, don't mess with my family, don't mess with my daughter, because I will kill you people, that sort of thing. And when she says that, just a disclaimer, guys, she doesn't mean it literally. You know, sometimes there's certain lingo that we use in a number of African countries, Nigerian being one of them, you know, where people say I'll kill you, but they actually don't mean it. They actually don't mean it like that. Pretty much the same way I don't think Laura really meant to say that she would give Carolyna a dirty slap. You know, it was just one of those moments of rage or emotion where you just say whatever that will kind of like help you, I don't know, release the frustration or anger that you're feeling in that moment. I don't know. But when that's happening, obviously, Carolyne is clearly very upset. You know, she's pointing a finger, this and the other. For the most part, it did keep Laura quiet, you know. And eventually they all sat down calmly and they spoke about, you know, the situation, to say, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you need to understand, I've got a family too. You know, I've got a family too. You've got a family, and I'm never going to stop you from trying to defend your family. You've got every right to defend your family, but I've got a family to take care of as well, you know. And that's pretty much the point that Carolyne was trying to drive across. But at the same time, Carolyne actually felt that Linda had no remorse whatsoever when she was coming for her family, you know, when she was basically telling her to say, this is the situation with my daughter, you know, you need to have a little bit more, you know, understanding, like, your sister did this, you know, I'm not mad at you, I'm not angry at you, I don't hate you. Then Laura is there responding and saying, look, at the end of the day, you don't know me to hate me, you know. And so, yeah, it kind of went back and forth, then it calmed down. And that was kind of like the end of that, until they kind of showed us the previews of what's going to happen next week. And so in next week's preview, what you are actually going to find out is that it's no longer going to be, well, it might be, I could be wrong, but we are going to find out that it's going to be Chioma versus Laura, because obviously I think Laura is feeling a little bit irritated, you know. On the other hand, Laura on the confessionals was saying, you know, I don't want it, saying, you know, it's, you know, she said some really nasty things actually about Chioma, which I didn't feel was that necessary, you know, especially the fact that they hadn't had a conversation yet. She didn't know whether Chioma was upset with her or not. Yes, Chioma came with a mood, but so did you in the beginning. You know, everybody else could have given you the same attitude or said the same nasty things in the confessionals, then they didn't. They gave you the benefit of the doubt, you know. And so far, you know, it's unfortunate because I actually thought that Laura was going to be one of my favorites, but she's literally my least favorite, because I feel like she looks for trouble. She gives all of that in her confessionals, and I don't know what that's about. I don't give an F. I'm like, dude, chill. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. Like, it's really weird for me because she's got a permanent smile. Okay, Laura has got a permanent smile, and so when she's throwing shade or saying some nasty things, it can be a little bit confusing to the mind, I think, because you're observing someone smiling, but you're hearing something different. You're like, huh? What just happened here? And that's the situation with Laura. You can be very, very confused when you're trying to have an argument with someone like that, I think, you know. And so, yeah, it shows that basically they are going to be at loggerheads, because obviously the Boho sit down is going to continue, but also, thank goodness, we're finally going to get to see Mariam. We're going to get to see Mariam, and we're going to see what she's going to bring to the table. And from what I've seen with the scenes that they've put out, it looks like she is brought into the fold by Toyin. So I'm assuming she is Toyin's friend. So I don't know who else's friend she is, if she's having to meet all the girls for the very first time. I don't know what feather she's going to ruffle, but what I do know, as well as it being Chioma versus Laura, it seems it might not be that a big deal, because you know how clickbaity some of these trailers are, but it looks like it might be Carolyne versus Toyin, because Toyin, they were waiting to go somewhere. People were waiting. Toyin was there waiting for everybody, and she was very irritated that she had to keep waiting for these people, and she hates to be kept waiting, and she hates keeping people waiting as well, you know. And the person who was late just happens to be Carolyne, and Caroline's like, what, you're not my mom, why are you trying to, you know, control me, this and the other. So they seem to be at loggerheads from that, but obviously context is very, very important. We're going to find out next week on episode 4, where we not only get to see 2 different people at loggerheads, but we also get to finally meet Mariam, who is coming in episode 4. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the rundown of the Real Housewives of Lagos. Let me know what you think. I am going to be keeping this live very short because honestly, I am so exhausted. It's been a long week. And the fact that I had to start the live twice, I feel like I've already done almost nearly an hour as it is, you know. Let me know what you think. Who are your favorites? What do you think of the outfits? What do you think of the confessional looks? I have warmed up to the show even more because it took a bit of an adjustment, especially when it comes to the way they put the production, put the sound effects, etc. But for the most part, I am loving the way the whole, you know, ensemble cast is. I love the fact that they do talk about very sensitive, you know, matters, because I think that's very, very important, especially within the African community. People don't talk about sensitive things. But what I would like to see more of in the upcoming episodes, I get it. Every single episode so far, there's been an event, literally. If episode 1, there was an event. Episode 2, there was an event. Okay, this is episode 3, and there was an event again. And it seems episode 4, they're going somewhere. I just want to see them at work. The only person that we got to see a glimpse of them working a little bit more was Toyin. Let us follow the others as they do their work. They've all got their individual jobs that we know they introduced us to. So why are we not seeing Iyabo at work behind the scenes when she's doing her next role or whatever she's doing, you know? Why don't we see Chioma at her restaurant or at her hair shop where she's just, you know, I don't know, figuring out orders or trying to manage her staff, etc. You know, we want to see a bit more of that. You know, why don't we see more of what's her face, even Laura herself? It seems she's an influencer and a YouTuber, right? Why don't we see more of her as she's setting up, like, to see how she goes about making her coin, you know? All the way to Caroline, we want to see her go to the construction sites and see how she really, you know, gets down in managing her work behind the scenes on that part of it. We don't want to have, I like the, yes, events are beautiful and everything, but we don't need to have that every single week. But also we'd love to be able to see the family element of it as well. They introduced us to it very, very well in episode 1 and 2, which we loved, but we want that to kind of carry on. Maybe we're going to get to see a little bit more of that when they do go to Turkey, because it seems that they're planning a cast trip, and the cast trip is going to be Turkey, because I find it just a little bit of a coincidence that Caroline has got relatives in Turkey, but it just so happens that Iyabo, you know, she did mention in the previous episode that her son is in Turkey and she wants to take her daughter to go visit him so that they can all be together at the same time in Turkey. So I think that looks like it is a potential cast trip that they are planning. You know, I absolutely have no idea. And I think, is that everything with the show? Yeah, I think that kind of covers everything, to be honest. You know, if you have not had a chance to watch the Real Housewives of Lagos, please make sure that you make your way over to Showmax, you know, and watch it and support the ladies, because they are really they are giving what they're supposed to give, you know, and it's very entertaining. This particular episode 3, even if I just gave a quick rundown, it was absolutely amazing. From the looks to the way the arguments culminated, to the point where even if the arguments were there, they were not toxic. And so it was watchable, it was entertainment, it was entertaining, and, you know, the whole show gave us entertainment value, in my opinion, you know. So it's definitely worth the watch. And so without further ado, before I end this stream, I just want to put out a quick, cute little reminder for those, obviously, as usual, you know, if you are watching over on YouTube, please do not forget to click on that like button on the video that you're watching right now. And of course, click on that subscribe button if you are not a subscriber yet. What are you waiting for? And of course, click on that bell button so that you can receive notifications every time we come live, as we are right now. And of course, every time we upload new videos just for you. And of course, if you're watching over from Facebook, please do not forget to click the like button on the video you are watching right now. And of course, follow the page that you're watching, as well as tweak those notifications so that you can receive alerts, not just when we upload new content, but also when we post new content directly from our website. For those who do not know, TGZ TV is an extension of TGZ Mag, which is our online publication where we post stories every single day, and you can enjoy different lifestyle topics from film to TV to life hacks, all the way to current events and current affairs and corporate information. You can find all of that on tgzmag.com. All you have to do is go over to www.tgzmag.com, where you can find all your entertainment and lifestyle as well as travel. Otherwise, it's been, honestly, I love actually talking about this show. I love watching this show, and I look forward to seeing all of you back again right here next week. And hopefully, hopefully, there will not be any violations of any kind, you know, and we'll be able to kind of have a perfectly smooth, you know, live discussion about the Real Housewives of Lagos. Otherwise, from myself, until next week, is take care and goodbye.
You are watching TGZ TV.
The Global Zambian, the only magazine that celebrates quality, cross-culture lifestyle and entertainment.